Hello and welcome to Just Us Thinking. I'm your host, Michael.
And I am your co-host, Rebecca.
And I'm your AV guy, Mikey.
And we have a good show, but first...
If you like paranormal, true crime, cryptids, or anything else weird, check out the Ouch Was That a Ghost podcast brought to you by your host, Liz. You can find Ouch Was That a Ghost on Spotify, Apple, or any other audio platform. New episodes drop every Thursday.
And back to our show here. And we have another show.
We do, yeah. We're going to be talking about something that's just come up here in the last couple years.
Yep. So now it's federal holidays, and the real thing here is whether you get the day off, right?
Yeah. Which reminds me, I don't know if I have this day off, so I'm going to have to go check now.
I might have to go look as well, because I don't know. It's new. So now we haven't had a new holiday for a while, have we?
We haven't. The last one was Martin Luther King Day in 1983.
Holy cow, that's a long time ago.
That is. So
if you haven't figured it out, we're talking about Juneteenth, which is June 19th.
Okay.
So, yes, it's a new holiday that Joe Biden, he's the one that, said he signed it, right?
Yep, he signed it on June 17th, 2021.
All right. So that's just in time for that year's June 19th.
Just in time for that day off.
Did he do that just to piss off employers and saying, well, technically it's a federal holiday, so you got to pay them more?
Probably.
I mean...
That's a good idea.
The problem that I have with... And it's not Juneteenth, it's all the holidays. Mm-hmm. The problem I have with holidays is... all people really care about is, do they get paid more for working that day, or do they have the day off?
Yeah.
That's really what people care about. So, with that, I say, you might be a little racist.
You might be.
So, well, we're all a little bit racist, so let's be honest.
Yeah, I think everybody, you try not to be, but I think everybody has had some kind of, thought or, right. made a statement that... they're like, oh, maybe I shouldn't have made that, or that came off wrong. We're all guilty of it. I hate to say it.
Everybody's done it.
And if you say you haven't done it,
you're lying.
You're lying.
Here's the difference. I'll say racist shit. But there's a difference between funny racist and mean racist. There's a difference, and comedians know that the best. I will tell you
They're
that.
really good at that.
It's true, right?
It is true. It's very true.
You can't make fun of midgets, but if Brad Williams gets out there and makes fun of midgets, what are you going to do? Let's be honest here. And we've all had it. We just went, where do we go? Where do we just go eat?
Sickies burger.
Oh, Sickies. Yeah. Okay. So I'll be the first one to admit I had a racist thought while we're in Sickies.
Okay.
I really did. Well, we're sitting there and we ordered. What did we order? We ordered the same thing, which I hate when we do it, but we do it all the time.
Well, it was different though. We changed it up a little bit.
I know, but we seem to do that a lot.
Yeah.
But we got, what do we get? The crispy...
chicken sandwich.
Yeah, the crispy chicken ranch sandwich, okay? And I got my chicken, and I was eating it, and I wasn't a fan.
Okay.
Love their burgers, not a fan. And then the racist thought popped up in my head. I'm serious. It did. It really did. And I'm sitting there, and I didn't say anything at dinner.
Yeah, you didn't.
I didn't say anything because I didn't know who was overhearing. And I wanted to digest my racist thought for a minute.
Okay.
I really did. Mikey, you're confused.
I really am.
So
I don't know if I want to hear it or not.
I'm going to say it anyway.
You
So
are?
Too bad. It's my show. I get to do it. I sat there and I'm thinking, I'm eating this chicken that tastes bland as shit. It just... taking the chicken off and just having the bacon, cheese, and the bread actually made it taste better. And my racist thought was, I better not get up and go into that kitchen and find a black man in that kitchen because he loses his black card. I'm serious. and I
wrong though.
Wow.
right, I'm not wrong.
He's not wrong.
I'm not wrong. Now I'm sitting and people are like, "That's racist." I'm like, "I know it is. It is. Goddamn white people don't know how to cook chicken."
They
Kind of
don't.
pissed me off. I'm like, and I'm a public service announcement here to all of our white listeners. If you try to make chicken for the first time, please consult your black person. Find one, designate one. I'll call me. I'll designate one for you. Because white people, we don't know how to cook chicken, and we need to consult the black community to make this worth a damn.
All right, I don't want to hear it because of Colonel Sanders.
Oh.
Well, no. Okay, so here's the thing. I am willing to bet that old Colonel Sanders racist piece of shit probably had some black people that he stole the shit from. I'm not saying KFC is a thief or anything, but you don't get 7 herbs and spices from a white guy. Sorry, doesn't happen.
Wow. Okay then.
What? I'm serious.
I know you are. That's the sad part.
Yeah.
It's just the way it goes. White people don't know how to cook chicken. I'm sorry. Now, don't get me wrong. You get some white lady in the kitchen and goes, "I'm gonna lemon zest this, and I'm gonna cook it in the oven." Bitch, please put some herbs on that shit. I want a commercial of some white lady doing this, and some black guy comes in and bitch slaps her and says, "Bitch, you don't know how to make chicken," and and fixes it for her, and then her family loves it, and he's a hero. He's a hero. That should be a commercial on TV.
Wow.
That's what we should see.
Okay.
Well then.
So that's. I'm sorry, but you learn. Us white people have to learn from the black community on how to make good chicken, how to barbecue, and how to do some other things. Right? It's a fact of life. Sorry. All right, that's my little rant. That just happened today. I mean, that was sickies, and I thought that, goddamn, I bet you there's only goddamn white people in that kitchen, and I got pissed off. Now, don't get me wrong.
They were probably Mexican.
Huh?
They were probably
Mexicans knows how to shout it.
Mexicans know how to overseas
Oh
it.
yeah.
Well.
Mexicans know. Listen, if I go into a diner, and I told you this, Mikey, and you hold me true to this. We walked in there, and I said, when you walk into a diner, you need to look and see who's in the kitchen. If you see a Mexican, a black guy, or someone that you're like, I don't know what he is, then you know what, you can eat there. But if you walk into a diner and there's a bunch of white folks in that kitchen, and you're not in a Waffle House, you better get the fuck out of there. No, white people, Waffle House white people, that's a different breed. I'm telling you, that's a different breed of people.
So white people only know how to cook breakfast?
No, white people don't even know how to do that right. White people
So why do you love it so much then?
What?
Waffle House.
Why Waffle House is a different breed of white people. Those guys aren't. They may be white.
Yeah.
But those were trained white. I'm telling you. They had some coaching.
Wow.
Jeez.
We're going to have to go find a couple different Waffle Houses now and see, because now I'm curious.
I'm telling you, it's I'm just, that's just the way the world works. You've had to have been trained to get to that point. I mean, I have been. I mean, I had a designated black person that taught me how to cook for the first time. I tell you right now, if you go into the grocery store, I don't know, it wasn't racist at the time, but I walked into I was looking for a watermelon. I walked in there, and there was this older black guy standing there, and he's like, I'm like looking at the watermelon, and he knew. He's like, oh, white person picking out watermelon. You're going to do this wrong. And he was 100% right. And he looked at me, and he designated him my black person for consulting in this.
Okay.
And He goes, do you know how to tell tell the difference? I said, I do not know. He picked it up and he did this like finger tap on the watermelon.
Oh yeah, the little knock on
and
it.
he goes, listen. And he picked up one. He goes, you hear that? He goes, that one's not good. He goes, he picked up another one. He goes, you hear that? He goes, that one's good. And I took it home. I had no clue who this guy was. Some random black guy in the grocery store.
He was probably just fucking with you.
No, it was the best watermelon I've had. He was 100% right. I'm telling you that.
So what did you hear on this second watermelon that made it so good?
It sounded different. It had a different, when you tapped on it, it had a different sound. And it's hard. I can't every black person that's listening to this podcast will know exactly what I mean when I say this, because it had a different sound. It sounded different. And he just knew. And ever since that, I remember that sound. I can show somebody the sound, but I can't explain that sound. I just can't do it. It's just not going to happen. But you wrap on that watermelon just right, and if it makes a certain sound, you got a good watermelon.
Okay, then.
Well, then.
I'm not lying. Everybody, and I will tell you, I didn't ask for his help. He just offered it. Thank God he did, because I'm sure from his point of view, he's trying to pick out a watermelon. He goes, this white person's going to screw this up just like they do everything else. I better show him how to pick out a white. He looks like a pretty decent white guy. I'll show him the trick. And then I was grandfathered in, so I'm good.
Wow.
Okay, then.
What?
So you got a watermelon whisperer now, huh?
I did. That was a watermelon whisperer. I guess that could be racist in the whole thing, because the whole black people and watermelon, black people and chicken. I know it's racist, but I think I think I'm part black because I love those things. So
What?
Everybody says that the two racist comments were for black people are fried chicken and watermelon.
Well, yeah, I got that part.
I know that part, but like,
I love that stuff, so I have to be black. I have to be like part black somewhere. What?
Really?
Yeah.
that. Wow.
Wow.
If that's a true stereotype, then if I like that, I can't be white. I'm not white. I'm like a Heinz 57, so it doesn't matter. Mikey, you're worse than I am because you have a Heinz 57 too.
But I don't like watermelon. Yeah. I don't know how I don't, but like,
I don't understand how you
don't like watermelon.
I don't know how you don't either.
I don't know. Maybe I need to go take one of those ancestry tests and see how much
Yeah.
I have, because I love
I've always
stuff.
wanted to do one of those just for sheer curiosity.
Well, it very well could be. Here's where I joke with. I joke about a lot of stuff, and racists. I hate a racist. I really don't like them at all. Those are the people that like are true racists, that like have hate running through their veins.
Yeah.
I can't stand those guys. So anytime I could, fuck with them, I like to try it. So, which is why I'm glad Juneteenth is a holiday, because I think it shows where we're at.
Yeah.
And where we're going.
Okay.
So I would tell you, Martin Luther King, man, I would say that, how they do other holidays for, like they do, I want to say it's Washington's birthday, and I think there's Lincoln's birthday, and there's a couple other presidents, and then they say President's Day.
Yeah.
Now, that's not an official holiday. That's not an official federal holiday.
No. I think it's a bank holiday, right?
I don't know if it's even a bank holiday. I'd have to look that one up. We're only covering the federal holidays.
Yeah.
And it wasn't on the list.
Okay.
There should be, like, Martin Luther King was a great man. And I want to say a lot of people disagree with a lot of what Malcolm X said as well.
Oh, really?
He was very controversial at the time too.
What?
Controversial. Now there should, if you're talking about making new holidays, Juneteenth's a great start, but there should be like, you know, have the President's Day, you should have like a Black Leaders Day if you're going to do that route. Because then you'd have Martin Luther King, and you could celebrate some of the people that have really pushed, you know, their community forward.
That's a really good idea.
So, see, I'm not just a racist. I say good ideas.
Yeah, you have good ideas every once in a while, huh?
Now, when was this? So now I'm going to ask you, what is Juneteenth?
So of course you're going to ask me.
Yeah, I'm asking you.
I can't pronounce half the words in the
I know,
sentence, but okay.
That's why I want you to say it.
So it was first celebrated in Texas, and it was to commemorate the emancipation of enslaved people in the U.S.
Right.
Yes. So came about pretty much, you know, in 1865 after the Civil War.
Yep.
And it was declared, like, the enslaved people were declared free under the terms of the 1862 Emancipation Proclamation.
Okay. So
I said it right.
You
Yay.
did. And you actually had the dates right here too.
I did.
So do you see the difference? So the terms of the Emancipation Proclamation came out in 1862.
Yeah.
The slaves realized they were free in what year?
1865.
3 years later. Do you understand that?
That's crazy. Well, I mean, you don't have, I mean, I guess you did have like news sources and stuff back then, but news traveled so slow that, yeah, I mean, it's not like today where you get it right away.
Right. Well, and here's the other problem with that. News traveled slow, but let's be honest, there's a lot of these people down there that really weren't, trying to say, by the way, you're free.
Yeah.
They
go enjoy your life.
Right.
They weren't being told that.
They were not. They didn't. They were freed, and then they're like, well, you're free, but oh yeah. Can you imagine getting that news? It's like you're there. You're like, oh, by the way, you're free. Oh, when did that happen? 3 years ago.
Yeah, that's.
Oh, what?
That's crazy.
Here's the problem with. Here's part of the problem that I have with the whole American slavery.
Okay.
Kind of a shit deal. Really shit deal.
Yeah.
So, Mikey, you guys learned this in school, right?
A little bit, yeah.
A little bit, but they don't. Even then, they don't know. So, here's the problem with with ending slavery.
Okay.
Okay, so you had a bunch of these, and I'm not even going to say white people, because there were some black slave owners.
Yeah.
There were. It wasn't really particularly the color of your skin. Mm-hmm. It was and it wasn't. Don't get me wrong. It was like 90% your skin color. But if you have the right other color, you were okay. And that's green.
Oh, yeah.
So it was all about rich.
The green always helps.
Yep. So a bunch of rich people who owned slaves, let's be honest, they could afford slaves. Right. And everybody thinks, oh, well, all white people were slave owners. That's not true. Many people could afford slaves. There was a lot of white folks that were out there, on the plantations working, Now, don't get me wrong, they could have, walked away, but
yeah.
They were a different kind of slave. They were a slave to the money.
Oh, okay. That makes sense.
We are all that now.
Yeah.
So here's the problem with slavery. So, you have a bunch of these rich people that say, okay, you're not my slaves anymore. What are they going to do? What are all these slaves going to go do? Nothing.
Right. Yeah, because they don't have their own homes to go to. And there's, not job. I mean, I guess there were jobs, but I mean, you don't have your job, like, selection that you have either.
Well, even though that slavery was ended, that still didn't stop discrimination. Right. Okay. People want to say that, being free and being discriminated against are two different things. Yeah. I wholeheartedly understand that. So when you have these freed slaves, and then they're like, well, what are you going to do? You there you go. So what they're going to be, all of a sudden now they're homeless.
Exactly.
So, here's where they got taken advantage of. The owners of these, plantations, or these rich folk out there, said, well, I guess now we have to pay you. So if you want to stay here, and I guess we'll pay you a wage. They knew nothing. That they're like, okay, well, now we're going to make money. We're going to do the stuff we did. Now we're going to be appreciated, and that for it, right?
Yeah.
Oh God, no. These rich white folk back then were stupid crazy.
Stingy.
Stupid stingy too. So what they'd do is they'd say, okay, well, yeah, you worked, and this is your wage, and now you owe your rent. And now you got to pay for you see?
Yeah.
Do you see how they got it?
Yeah.
So even though they were, a lot of slaves ended up still staying at the plantations and working, because A, they had nowhere else to go, and B, you can't do anything without any money. I mean,
right.
Especially now if you had family and kids or anything, you can't say, oh, we're free now, we're gonna take off to who knows where with a baby and a kid and all this other stuff, right?
Yeah.
So I want to say, although it should be celebrated the day, it should be celebrated, that we ended slavery. I would like to see and look back and say, yeah, but when did we actually end discrimination against them?
Oh, yeah.
As that's the key for me. I guess
that's a good question, actually. I'm kind of curious about it too now.
That would be the 70s.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Ooh.
So back in the 70s is when the final push for the anti-discrimination acts and stuff like that, which was, of course, after which Martin Luther King fought for.
Right.
Okay. So you got to understand that. Now, if you look at that, I want to say probably the 60s or 70s was when the movement started for the anti-discrimination.
Okay.
That is where they stopped saying, oh, we had white only this, black this, white this, black this. At one point, and Mikey, this is the crazy part that if you didn't look at those histories, is there was one point in history where there would be two drinking fountains, and one was a white only drinking fountain.
Yep.
And it was, it's water.
Yeah.
Water's
water.
Water's water, right? So it didn't matter, sharing. You couldn't share. I think there was a big stigmata of interracial marriages too.
Oh yeah.
So that was a big deal as well. I don't know. I think that the freeing of the slaves was a good start, but I think I want to say it was half-assed back then. In 1865, they half-assed it. Or in 1862.
1862, yeah.
They were still half-assing in 1865.
Yeah.
And then 100 years later, they said, oh, maybe we should fix that.
Yeah.
And they barely fixed it.
Barely, yeah. That's just crazy.
There were still politicians back in the 70s that were saying some pretty racist things.
Yeah.
So when I make a joke about, watermelon or, white people don't know how to cook chicken or something like that.
Yeah.
Keep in mind, I'm joking to point. I'm trying to bring a point to that conversation.
Okay. Yeah.
Because I'm making a joke because in my mind, 1862, that was a joke too. They should have done it all in one go. They should have said, okay, you're all free. You have equal rights with everybody. Even what was it? What's the one NASA when NASA was going to the moon?
Oh yeah, the women that helped with it. Yeah.
Right.
Okay.
Do you know there's a story from there that one of the women had to go? One of the bathrooms at that facility was white only.
Yeah, I remember reading about that. Yeah, that's just crazy.
Now, don't get me wrong. I don't know how they fixed it, but apparently when they got wind of it, and they're like, no, this doesn't fly.
Yeah.
That was in the 60s and 70s. Okay.
Okay.
So you got to understand that. Why did it take 100 years for us to? We freed them, but joke's on you. We're gonna still treat you like shit.
Yeah.
What? That's to me. That's a slap in the face.
I would definitely agree with that. Because that's I mean, if you're not gonna make any attempt to actually free them or help them, build a new life, then why do it?
Right.
I don't know.
And a lot of those rich folk back then, they purposely dragged out not spreading the news.
Yeah.
Who owned the newspapers? Who owned everything?
Yeah, they did. So
they're like, let's just put that on the back burner.
Yeah.
It happened. We're not going to make it newsworthy or anything like that.
Right, because they're not going to go out in the fields and work themselves. I mean, it's
God no.
Come on now.
Can you imagine that? Now that would have been the irony.
Yeah.
That would have been the irony of saying, hey, they're freed and, how about 1 month a year you have to go work the fields and they get to live in your house?
Yeah, that would never happen either, probably.
Right. I want to say it was 100 years of bullshit.
Yeah. That
they had to put up with. So, I don't know. I'm glad for Juneteenth. I now you're going to get in, and I don't know if I want to get into whether reparations are in order for that. Here's the reality is there's not a white person alive today in the U.S. that have owned a black slave.
Okay.
Now there was also Irish slaves.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I don't want to say throwing money at the situation would fix it.
Yeah, that's not going to fix it.
No. I don't. Here's the thing. It happened. It was horrible. I don't agree with it. Just so anybody's out there, I guess I would have probably been killed back in the day because I would have. Me.
You're outspoken.
I'm outspoken, and I would have probably tried to grab one of them whips and whooped one of them slave owners.
Yeah.
How do you like it, you son of a bitch?
How do you like me now?
I'm glad I wasn't around that time because I don't think I would have put up with it at all. Modern day Michael would not have put up with that shit. I don't think I would have put up with it back then too. I mean, just because of I do have strong feelings that I think it was wrong. Here's the problem is slavery is still alive, and it is in it's in some Middle Eastern countries still right now as well.
Yeah, that's true.
So I would like to see an end to that too.
Okay. Yeah,
so
that's
anybody from the UN is listening. Time for you to step up and get your shit together too.
Yeah.
It's time for you to put slavery, where it needs to be.
Yep, just end it all.
Yep, that needs to put to an end to it. So I don't know. It's just, I'm glad it's a holiday. I'm glad. I don't think reparations is the answer.
Yeah, I don't either.
I think we've come far enough that I think now in modern society, I think everybody has an equal, say on here.
I think so too. I mean, I
think we're enough removed from the situation that I think it should be, and it should be left in the past. Yeah. It should be one of those stark reminders of what happened.
Right.
And I want to bury it. I don't want to say it didn't happen. I don't want to, pretend and, not look back at it, because I think it should be something that we look back on and say, this is where we fucked up. This is something we did that was wrong. We have now fixed it. As a society, we've come and realize that.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, I have to agree. I mean, I just don't think going back and paying, giving money to someone because of what happened to, 3 or 4 generations, if not longer ago, that,
well, you're talking. You're
yeah. I mean, you're talking a long time. It's
Yeah.
like you said. I mean, people today. I mean, hardly. I would say there's really no more like living slaves or slave owners.
No, there isn't. There isn't.
Yeah, from
Now,
1800s anyway.
Don't get me wrong. I think it's done. I think it's done damage to the community.
Yeah.
I think my problem with it is I think we could be so much further along in society. Here, these old racist son of a bitches ripped me off from having my flying car. That's what I'm saying. I'm just saying. Because if we would have all gotten along and not been bullshitting with this stupid bullshit slavery, and we would have all worked together, I'd have my flying goddamn car right now.
Okay.
And our teleporters and our Star Trek livings lifestyles, and we'd be a lot further along. That's what I'm saying.
So, Michael.
I'm serious. You don't think so?
Sure, buddy, sure.
You don't think that if we all were working together and we didn't have to put up with this bullshit and try to hold people back from what their potential would be, you don't think we would be a lot further along than we are now?
Probably a lot farther along, but nowhere close to Star Wars or Star Trek.
Why not?
Do you not see their technology?
Have you not seen like our technology on where we've gone since we've been to the moon?
Okay, that's fair.
Right. Listen. If they would have said, okay, enough of this bullshit, this and that Emancipation Proclamation, they're all don't discriminate. If you do, that's it. If we would have rolled that 100 years back, we would have been in the moon by like 1903.
Yeah.
And then can you imagine that?
That would be pretty cool. Yeah.
It'd been there could have been. We're getting on the verge of flying cars now, right?
Well, yeah.
Right. See what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I'm saying we are all suffering as a society because of slavery. We all suffer because I want my goddamn flying car. I want a helipad on the roof, and I want my flying car.
Okay.
That's my hill. I'm gonna die on it.
Well then.
Alrighty then.
All right. So Juneteenth, good holiday, right?
It is, yeah. Okay.
Hey, I'm on board. We just have to figure out, part of my deal is I would like to educate people on what the holiday was
Right.
for.
Yeah.
That's my big deal.
Know why you're getting that day off work.
No, yeah. Yeah.
Know the real reason.
Right. You know what? And you don't have to, you happy just to have the day off, that's fine. Or work it and get paid more, that's fine too. But if you're going to get a day off, at least look in why you're getting the day off. At least put a little effort into that. All right. That's
Exactly.
my rant.
Good point.
I think this
I
whole
like
show
it.
was my rant, wasn't it?
It was, yeah.
Sorry, folks. That's what happens.
Yeah, it happens. So it's all good.
Yep. And it's summer, so I'm hoping to get me a watermelon here. Oh.
Hey, at least they brought back the watermelon margaritas.
Oh, that's true
Yeah.
too.
Oh. No, I want one.
See, that's what you
Dang
do.
it. What time do they close?
We'll find out. All right. I think that's the show, so we go find out.
And if you like what we say, you can always follow and like us on Facebook. We're on Instagram. Is it Instagram or
You see, this is why I do that part.
Instagram
Instagram.
or X, formerly known as Twitter?
Wow.
Jeez.
Cut.
No.
No, that's
what do you
staying in. We're
cut?
keeping that in, baby.
Yeah, that's staying. I don't know what the hell that was.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, you screwed that up. And
You messed that so
listen,
far
my job,
south.
being the host and reading that stuff isn't the easiest. Now I'm going to do your part.
Okay.
We're also on our iHeart, Spotify, Apple, YouTube Music, Amazon, Samsung, and all other podcast players.
Yep. And then you can see our videos on YouTube, Rumble, and TikTok.
See, you're still on that YouTube.
I know. I have to make sure I say it correctly.
You over pronounce the boob.
YouTube.
YouTube. Right?
Yeah.
Always over announce the boob.
Oh, yeah.
Always.
Always.
All right. I think that's the show.
All right. Bye, everybody.